everyone, welcome to Ian and Friends. I am FloBikes Senior Editor Ian Dille.
And I am Michael Sheehan, Ian's friend. Today we are going to recap the cyclocross races, which just happened on FloBikes.com over the weekend, preview the coming cyclocross race, and Ian and I are going to get into another argument.
This time about the effort to fix pro cycling. Just stop. Enough already. It doesn't need any fixing, right?
Wrong.
All right, what happened this weekend was the Tabor World Cup as well as Flandrian Cross in Hamme, like 15 hours apart or something by RV van or bus or however these racers got to these two races. Needless to say, the women were totally unfazed. Lucinda Brand, fresh into the cyclocross season off of her incredible road season, really played it super smart, rode kind of at the back of a lead group of 8 at the Tabor World Cup, ended up attacking with about a half lap to go and getting an incredible win in Flandrian Cross. Just another day of amazing international women's racing. Like a group of 8 came to the line together, won by Anna-Marie Wurst, a lead out of sorts from her teammate Alice Maria Arzuffi. What happened in the men's racing?
Exciting news, Ian. Exciting news.
You'll never believe.
Men's race cyclocross. Mathieu van der Poel, he won 2 more cyclocross races. Can you believe it?
It is, you know, if you can hang on to Mathieu van der Poel's wheel when he attacks, you know, like at Flandrian Cross, literally from the gun, you have a good chance of getting second. We saw that for sure on Sunday.
Yeah, this seems to be really the strategy that the riders are taking, is just try to hold on for dear life to Mathieu van der Poel, and you are going to rack up a massive lead over your competition if you can hold on. Tom Mewsen, he was really the big takeaway rider for me this weekend at Flandrian Cross. He is, of course, teammates with Mathieu van der Poel, and I think that helped him a little bit. Van der Poel did look back and seemed to wait for Mewsen to manage to claw his way up in the very, very early stages of the race. You could really tell just how much on the ragged edge Mewsen was trying to hold on to Van der Poel, but it did him justice. He ended up getting second. Tom Mewsen, he's a rider. He was up there among the favorites pretty much week in and week out. 2-3 years ago, this last season, he was a little bit more anonymous, and I don't know if he's been training with Van der Poel, but he is looking to be finding the form that we used to know him to always have. So this is exciting, and I personally can't really wait to see what he has in store for us next weekend. Yeah,
next weekend, World Cup racing returns to Belgium, Koksijde. This is another big, sandy, heavy course. What kind of racing can we expect in Koksijde?
Yeah, this is a race that is held on the sand dunes just on the coast of the North Sea in Belgium. Really, really heavy course. Women's side, I think that we're going to see something from Katie Compton. She has not quite found her legs yet this season, but she actually holds the record for the most number of wins at Koksijde in the women's field. The sandy, heavy course, it really, really suits her powerful riding style. Men's side, I really want to say Wout van Aert, the world champion, is going to have a shot at this. He, again, has not quite managed to put it together this year, but he is a phenomenal sand rider. He really, really excels when it comes to sand riding technique, and maybe this is going to be the weekend where we start to see him turning the legs over a bit better.
I like it. Underdog pick with the world champion Wout van Aert. Katie Compton did suffer from a little bout of food poisoning before the Tabor World Cup, and wasn't on her A game. I think was still top 10 both days this past weekend. So yeah, she's due to come on form soon. It's approaching Cyclocross Nationals, and yeah, she's certain to be coming around. Let's get into the real meat of today's show, though. This ongoing effort to fix professional bike racing as if something's wrong with it. We have a number of points we're going to get into here first, but number one is the calendar. You know, there's too many races. Everything's weighted around the Tour de France. I think it's all a bunch of BS.
I Disagree, of course. I don't understand why we need to have hundreds and hundreds of UCI days of racing when there are really only 8 races that anybody cares about. You have 3 Grand Tours, you have 5 monuments. That's where pretty much the vast majority of the budget from television rights to team investment goes. There's just too much filler. People tune into random weekends of bike racing not expecting great action because these riders are just preparing for the next big monument or the next big Grand Tour. I think that that's a problem.
Look, if all you want to watch is the Tour of Flanders and Paris-Roubaix and the Giro d'Italia on FloBikes.com or the FloSports app, that's fine. But I'm here to say that all the racing we have is great. You can watch racing like 24/7. I mean, take the Tour of the Basque Country. This is like one of the hardest one-week stage races in the world in like the Basque cycling crazy area of northern Spain, these super steep, pitchy climbs. It happens in the 6 days between Flanders and Roubaix. You don't have to take a break for a single day. You get, 8 days of some of the world's best bike racing.
I do agree that it is appealing being able to watch so much bike racing, but it needs to be simplified a little bit. There are just too many races that half the peloton doesn't really seem to care about. If everybody comes out swinging for every single bike race that I watch, I will be a whole lot happier. That brings me to my next point. Racing, it's a little bit boring.
No, we never use the word boring on this show.
I'm sorry, the Tour de France is just a snooze for half of it. You have, it's just too formulaic. A breakaway goes at the start of the race. They ride at 40 kilometers an hour. The peloton rides at 40.5 kilometers an hour, and then they pull them back before the final climb or the sprint finish. Too formulaic. I want more. I want mixed surfaces. I want gravel. I want excitement. I want challenges.
I'm far too old to be throwing out eye rolls. But these long flat stages, these sprint finishes, they're part of bike racing. And sometimes you just need to take a good nap. Put on a 5-6 hour sprint stage, fall asleep on the couch, you wake up for the last 10 minutes of exciting racing. It's great. I love it.
It's hard being old, isn't it?
We don't need, lasers and smoke machines for every race. The gravel sections like Strada Bianchi, some gravel, great. We have the cobblestones in the spring. But, it's okay to have a race that's not action-packed. And you know what? It also folds into the drama of the overall race. The super exciting, chaotic days are all the more so because we suffered through like 3 days of flat sprint stages.
They can be made a little bit shorter, and there can be things that can spice them up a little bit. I think it's a problem when you have a race like Paris Tour that the only 8 kilometers that anybody talked about in that entire race was a gravel farm track. And then you get another old guy, such as yourself, the boss of Quickstep, Patrick Lefevre, saying that he was going to boycott the race's future editions because of that 8 kilometers, the only 8 kilometers that got any attention. Really?
Well, I think that kind of, for me, brings it back to the calendar and, this chaotic battle amongst the events to try and become more prominent, bring something new, bring something fresh. We see that between the Grand Tours. The Vuelta is always trying to innovate and bring, steeper, more dramatic climbs and kind of setting off an arms race. But, at the end of the day, if a one-day race that people don't really want to tune into, like Paris Tours, goes away or has to do something innovative like bringing gravel, that's fine. So I'll agree with you on that point. And we'll get to another point where we actually are kind of on the same side. This, toxic environment where everybody wants to just hate on Sky. They're too big, they're too powerful, like cry me a river. They're just good, and they're making everybody else better by being the best.
It hurts me to say it, but you are completely right here. I have no patience for people saying that Sky is killing bike racing, that they're too good. Step up your game. If you're getting beat by Sky every single week, just, I don't know, figure something out. But
Yeah, the sport needs bad guys.
Yeah.
It needs the New York Yankees. You know, it needs the New England Patriots. It needs somebody that everybody is trying to topple. And besides, Sky, you know, while they've done quite well in the Tour de France, like they're going to the Giro, and winning the Giro was, you know, one of the most exciting Giros that we've ever seen. It was phenomenal, and it's not like they, you know, had this robotic approach to winning it. You know, stage 19 where Chris Froome took the win was probably one of the best days of racing that we've seen in last few decades.
Do you think that that's maybe just because the Giro is better than the Tour de France?
Could be. I mean, we're a little biased here. You can watch it live and on demand on FloBikes.
The Giro d'Italia is on FloBikes. Yeah.
And then our final point is doping.
Do people still do that?
I don't think they do. I'm pretty sure that we fixed that in a previous show.
Yeah.
All right. That's the end of our show today. We will see you soon for another edition of Ian and Friends. If you're watching this on YouTube, let us know what you think below. We'll have a poll on the site, and you can weigh in and let everybody know who's right and who's wrong.
Thank you for joining.